What is up, jail life?
What
Modale
is
here.
up, jail life? Miss Dale here.
Oh man, I'm already sweating. So today's video, we've been having some significant problems with the
my
sport
baby.
axle housings. We're going to get it fixed today.
Yay.
So let's get into it. Ah!
So guys, what I have going on here, this is the Dana 30, also called the M186 on the Sport. It's what comes standard on it. It's been re-geared to 456 from the factory 376 or whatever it is. It also has, we've upgraded the axle shafts to chromoly shafts, and at some point after that, I started leaking diff oil out of the end on the tubing. So that made us think it was a bad seal. So we replaced the seal in the tubing and it still leaks, which means it's very possible that something isn't straight. Oops.
If you have a leaky axle seal to the tubes, you replace the seal and it keeps leaking, which is the problem we're having. It's usually a good indicator that you've bent your housing at some point, and the axle seal actually comes right on the other side of the fad. And plus, we have a rear pinion seal leaking as well.
It's not dripping,
It's leaking.
but you can tell there is escaping of fluid.
So what that means is the 37s ain't
Ideal on stock
It ain't
axles.
going to work. Don't do it. And of course, we said from the beginning, 37s on the 186, the Dana 30, was a horrible idea.
In a matter of time.
And of course, Misty also said she had every intention on upgrading her axles when that happened. Well, we're not going to go and trust it now because it's pointless. We're not going to continue to run it because obviously there is a defect in the housing, and I don't want us to be in the middle of an obstacle and her axle completely just crap out. So what Missy went with, she went with the Ultimate Dana 44. It's geared for 513. It comes with lockers. However, these do not come with the C knuckle. So we're going to have to reuse that, and of course the brakes. They come with some really stout one-piece shafts. The brackets are freaking thick. No stupid fad. Hey. Damn axle weighs about 255 pounds. For the rear, they don't make an Ultimate Dana rear, so we just got the Rubicon 44 for the rear. And of course, we're going to get it geared to 513. It comes with a locker. Swapping out an axle isn't super hard. These are all plug and play. You don't have to reassign any of the brackets. And it's just basically going to be unbolting all the things that bolt onto the axle, sliding the new one in, bolting it together, and boom. We got our buddy Jordan here today to help me. I hope we will be able to get to both sides today. We'll see how smoothly it goes. Now we can pop this off. Ouch. Power tools. Okay. Yeah, I want to sure.
I forgot it's not like my 44 where it just comes all apart. So your goal is to leave all the tight links there?
Well, I didn't want to give you my sockets anyway. I'm going to go ahead and pull out the shaft.
You drained the diff fluid already?
No. Yeah! Watch your brake lines. Pop. Pop. got it. Got it. You alright? You're alright. Yeah, here.
Put it in that hole where you put the other one.
I'm in the bottom of the hill. Air button. They like to be a pain in the butt.
We have success.
How quickly do we get that done? Like in an hour? I like having you around.
I helped too.
You did.
Misty did more than I did.
I helped too.
Keep me motivated.
I was sitting there just
Stuff
being
out on this side.
pain in the
And then
butt.
he did that side. Ugh.
There, sit down.
Woohoo!
But check out how thick these knuckles are. Where's mine?
Boom.
This knuckle right here at the top is 3 inches thick compared to the stock ones. So this one is also 3 inches, but just look how much more material, or how much less materials on this one compared to the other.
Bam. Done. So what are you doing?
Drilling holes for the bump stops.
You made it! Yay!
That hurt.
I sure did.
Supposed to do that.
This little string a little bit higher.
Say what?
Let's play with the cord.
Oh, I see what he did.
No, dude.
Jerk. That's,
No, I got a perfect close for you.
I told you.
Muchos progresses have been made. Control arms are connected. Springs are in. Bump stops are in. We had to drill new holes for them.
Drill holes for them.
And now they're lifting it up, and we're gonna get the shocks back on.
Watch for towards the outlet. 18-wheelers are built with these stupid things.
So this bracket goes underneath the spring perch. And it's supposed to do the slide clip. And then the nut part is supposed to be on the other side of the corresponding hole. Then the bolt goes through it, holding it in place. Little pin. And what on the bottom?
35.
Before you put the drive shafts in, just make sure there's no wood residue. And we're gonna need to clean this. It's all covered in sawdust.
Careful now. What?
That's a tight fit.
There we go. Unit bearing bolts.
Crazy.
3 for you.
And light bulb kind of went off when we were getting ready to Misty was getting ready to test drive. Is the steering is set up for the Sport. Of course, these are Rubicon axles. They're wider, so we need to adjust linkage. But luckily, I have these fancy little alignment tools that we're going to use, and we'll do the back next weekend. It's getting really hot. You tell him, Jordan.
Holy moly, this seat is hot. Woo!
I like that.
I want to get comfortable. I don't want my jeans on. Plus, there's one. Hey, Mom. Can I get everything else step out?
Yeah. Hey Mo,
What?
hold on. I'll put it to where it needs to be. And then you can just adjust to there.
Okay. How's that look? Almost. Good.
Oops.
Okay, that's one downfall to spray anti-seize in a can.
Okay.
Okay, now the steering wheel's upside down.
Yeah.
Welcome to day 2.
Day 2.
Install day 2.
Rear axle day 2. Yesterday was Freedom Day. I drank too much. I'm hungover. I feel like I need to throw up.
I'm okay. My hair's a little crazy.
But I told her we'd get this done today, so let's go. Oh. So just to touch on the axle we're putting into the rear is going to be it's actually going to be the stock Dana Rubicon 44. The stock Dana 44, they don't make a Dana Ultimate for the rear. Matter of fact, nobody makes an Ultimate rear to be able to fit with the JL.
It's either 60s or that.
Yes. But nice thing about this is it already has a locker. And so I'm not saying that air lockers are poor quality. It's just more things to manage. And Misty had a leak in one of her air lockers, which is
Had it for a while.
which is why the compressor constantly goes when she kicks it on. And we got them professionally installed, so I don't want to hear none of that. We'll get professionally installed.
Where?
E-lockers, in my opinion, are better. And no, we're not looking to turn lockers on when you're going those 30 miles an hour. Alright, well, let's get this doing. There we go. And of course, safe practices. Always put the tire underneath the frame. There. Axles even come with shower caps. So one of the things I did not realize is that it comes with new brakes and calipers. If we swap these out, we're going to have to bleed the brakes. We've got enough to do today. So Missy's doing before we bolt it all back together. She's greasing everything up. Might as well, since we have everything accessible. Yeah, so from the old axle, we need to take out the breather vent and the bump stops. So I'm gonna pull those out real fast and get them swapped over. Nice. Get it all together, you know. One more pump. Alright. We can put tires on.
Success.
Yes.
Alright, y'all. The axle swap is complete. We have the front in, we have the rear in, we've done the gear brake in, and I've got to test it a couple times out on the rocks. And I have to say, I am a happy camper right now. Let's just go over some of the main changes. So a few of the big changes outside of the actual axles themselves. Number one is we changed the gears. We went from 4.5/6s up to 5/13s. And the response while wheeling is amazing. Like it's totally different being on 37s with 4.5/6s and then jumping up to 5/13. It's so much better. It's like the perfect spot for me and for the wheeling we do. The next big change with changing out the axle is I've converted from air lockers over to e-lockers. That takes a little bit of getting used to. Previously, I would know for sure my lockers are on when I hear the air either turning on or turning off, saying, you know, signaling that's working. Now it's just bloop. I hope it's locked. And then of course, when you turn off the air lockers, it's kind of like an immediate release and they let go. Whereas with e-lockers, you have to turn it off and then wait a few seconds for it to actually disengage before you kind of move again. It makes it a little more easier. Some other changes. Since the Dana 44 is wider than the Dana 30, which was previously up front, we also had to adjust all of the steering components. And that I'm a little bit concerned. Let me show you. So currently I have the Synergy HD steering. And as I said, we had to make some adjustments for the length going from a Sport to a Rubicon axle. And something that I'm not super happy about is how far out this linkage has to be in order to accommodate the extra width. Mo has Steer Smarts on his, and let me just really quick highlight the difference. So Synergy's is not quite as wide, and that makes me worry a little bit with how aggressive we are with our Jeeps. So this is something to consider in the future. Something they've done to help make my life a little easier is change the design on the bracketry for your control arms. So now the Zerk fittings are much easier to reach, because before the bracket came out over, so it was a real pain to be able to reach in there and get that guy. So the width of the linkage is something that's kind of important for me and Mo, of course, because of how we handle our Jeeps. We have the big tires and they are constantly meeting immovable objects. So something to keep in mind. Next, other changes. A standout difference between the Ultimate 44 and the originals is the tube thickness. So the previous Dana 30 had axle tubings that were the same thickness as a regular Dana 44, which was a 0.28. Dana has beefed up the Ultimate 44 by making it a 0.5 0.37 inch thickness, which is almost 1/10 of an inch thicker. Now there's also Dynatrack with the Pro Rocks, which are 1/2 an inch tube thickness. That's pretty crazy and definitely strong, but they also cost a considerable amount more, which I was not ready to do. Another difference is the bracketry. The bracketry on the original 44s is a 0.20, whereas on these the Ultimate 44, it is going to be a 0.25 thickness. An additional change that's going to need to be made is the brake lines. So we had to just kind of reroute mine as they are now, but I do have some replacements to put on.
Another thing about these axles, because the brackets are so much thicker, we had issues with the sway links. Now, we could go with these regular sway links and bolt it through. The problem is, in order to get to disconnect it, because it's not open on the bottom, there's no quick, easy way of doing it without dropping the track bar. And I'm not dropping the track bar to disconnect the sway link when I'm about to go off-roading. I ain't doing that. What we did have for Misty were Rock Crawler's first gen quick disconnects. Problem is, it no fit. The two options we have with this, we can either go with a different setup or modify this one by cutting half this bracket off and welding it onto the tab. I don't know if Misty's gonna want me to do that one. I'm sure we'll probably just get rid of these ones and go with something else. And of course, there's no damn fad. Stupid Fiat, stupid. And you all know I hate the fad. It's a weak spot in the axle. They should have just done locking hubs, especially for the Rubicon models. But they didn't. They did the fad. And I mean, granted, I haven't broken mine yet. This axle is actually the axle that should have been with the Rubicons, not something you had to upgrade to. But hey, above my pay grade. And of course, as we mentioned earlier in the video, the Knuckle is a lot thicker, bigger, and more filled out. Can't really show you on my other ones because they're gusseted, but they're massive. The pumpkin not only comes with the iron diff plate, it's shaped different. So it's slightly angled up in the front. And of course the pinion angle isn't all jacked up to accomplish that. Another big advantage is you can see it's caged in with these ribs going both ways. So it's not just rock catchers. The idea is if it hits, it's still going to skid off. As you can see, Misty's already been dinking it around. This one actually has more clearance than the other Rubicon model. We're at about 13.5. And the regular Rubicon model, I am at about just over a foot. And of course, you don't have to worry about the drain plug at the bottom. This is one of the spots that if a rock hits it just right, it'll start to come loose. You'll start losing diff oil on the trail. And of course, you won't. Hopefully you notice it before you run out of oil or you're gonna break your gears. Another important thing to discuss real quick are the brake lines, the stock brake lines. If you put them in where they fit on the stock axle underneath the spring perch, your brake line, at least on the sport models, are going to be stretched all the way. You have, as you can see what we did, kind of just pushed it out and zip tied it to give us a little bit more room. But if you don't do this and you go wheeling, you will rip out a brake line. No doubt about it. We're going to have to be extending these soon to get this looking better. And the last thing I want to talk about are going to be the Ultimate Dana 44. Comes with chromoly shafts, and the Dana chromoly shafts have upgraded U-joints. The U-joints, I can't remember offhand. I'm going to put it right here for the size, but these are a lot bigger than the stock ones. So getting it all done is actually pretty simple. It was all plug and play. However, some technical knowledge is required as far as just knowing how to bleed the brakes and readjusting your steering. Front brakes we reused. The rear brakes we could not reuse because the calipers wouldn't fit over the Rubicon rear end discs. So we had to swap them all out. So you know how to bleed the brakes in order to do this.
Yeah.
Don't mind my throat. I'm sick. I'm bruised. Missy's abusing me. I got a swollen face.
That was not me.
Hey, and we also have a second channel link. Go check it out. Subscribe. It's guns and stuff. This channel we're leaving to Jeep and garage stuff. The other channel is going to be guns and outdoors stuff.
Yeah. Because YouTube doesn't like guns and stuff.
Correct. So we're trying to keep this separate. So if it gets deleted, if in the future that channel gets deleted, it's not a big deal. Yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Remember to
like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Stay tuned for the next one. Y'all, keep it easy.